All right, it's time for another episode of Betting Weekly Tennis Live, all part of the Bet Rivers Network. Our socials are Because We Win. You want to follow us on Instagram, on X, and on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. We've got tennis all across North America. We've got semifinals in Toronto and Montreal for the men and women, respectively, the Canadian Open, Cincinnati Open qualifying, all leading up to the road to the U.S. Open. And we're back again, Betting Weekly Tennis Live, to break it all down. Mitch Michals, the host, along with Nigel Seeley. Nigel, welcome back to the show. How are we adjusting to this new schedule? We got a final tomorrow night and a Thursday, so it's going to be a little weird.
It absolutely sucks, Mitch. What a joke! I mean, it just loses the fun out of it. I think we lose all our sort of, the ideas of going to finals on Sundays and semi-finals Saturdays, quarterfinals. It's a nightmare for me to put down the road and the roster, the schedule for us. I just don't understand why they're doing it. I just don't get it. I mean, all the players don't enjoy it. The fans don't enjoy it. We spoke about it today on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's just, to me, a final on a Thursday. And then the same tournament starts on the Thursday again. So, like, what are they trying to do? The extra rest between matches on the 10-day tournaments. Yeah. But they've got to rush across to the other, especially the women. Some of the women involved, they're not even going to get buys to the second round. So what I don't get the logic of it. I think it's I'm a big believer. If it's not broke, don't try to fix it. The tennis schedule worked very good as it was. I just don't get it.
Yeah, we have Coco Gauff in a doubles final as well too. So that's another thing, right? Like there's an opportunity for her to kind of play and really just have to go right to singles. It's going to be interesting, but how these players manage their schedule and who plays. And, we just heard Djokovic isn't going to be playing coming up going forward too. So a lot to dissect, a lot to adjust with this schedule, but it's the new normal. We've got some good semis coming up tonight, though, as I mentioned. What stood out yesterday for you, Nigel, in the quarterfinal round, the back end of it? We had Clara Tauson destroy Madison Keys. Osaka looked great. And then the American men, Ben Shelton and Taylor Fritz, respectively, handle their business.
I was very, very impressed with Clara Tauson. I'm always impressed with Clara Tauson. As I've said many times on this show and on these shows for the last couple of years, I've always thought she was a player that was destined for the top, and I'm very pleased to see her doing it. I wasn't very pleased to see her do it because I actually bet Madison Keys to win the tournament at the beginning at 14-1. She was our pick on Betting Weekly WTA, and we're not having the best of runs on Betting Weekly WTA, so I was a bit disappointed with that. But Tim Dennis yesterday said that she would win at plus 120, so hopefully some people would have hedged their position and made some money, whatever the result. I was really, 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 really impressed with Ben Shelton yesterday. Really impressed. And I've been a big Ben Shelton fan for years. His youth, his exuberance, his the way that he plays, the way that his excitement, the way that he takes on the big game, the big games. I just thought that he was brilliant. And we know Alex de Minaur has got a terrible record against top 10 players, but Ben Shelton didn't give him a chance, and he was exceptional. Whether he can ride that run and keep that adrenaline and that thing that's taking him to the next level into this evening is a different matter. But I was really impressed with him. I thought last night we may see an emergence of somebody who could, I'm not saying challenge the top two, and his data needs to be massively high, but he could definitely force his way into the top four. Jack Draper has forced his way into the top four in the World 500 world, and Ben Shelton is definitely in the conversation in major winners now, or potential semi-finalists, quarterfinals. I thought it was brilliant last night.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity, right? How he does against Fritz. They haven't played in a couple of years, but yeah, he really just took the racket out of de Minaur's hand. I know he played a lot of tennis, had a very physical match against Tiafoe, in addition to the run in DC, but it was all Shelton. It was very nice. And then, for Fritz, beating Rublev was expected, but the one thing that impressed me in that match, Nigel, was the fact that he kind of blew it serving for the match, but still just went back to work and won in the tiebreak. So he didn't let the match get away from him. I know it could have been cleaner, but for Taylor Fritz, he didn't let one bad game, one catastrophic game ruin the match for him. So I thought that was impressive.
Yeah, I just think Taylor Fritz, the only thing about Taylor Fritz is I've always think he's got his serve, has got the potential to do everything. I just never felt that his general tennis game is enough to take him to winning majors. I think his plan A, his game plan A is great if it works. But when he's up against an Alcaraz and he's up against the Sinner, he has to have a plan B. And I don't think he has got a plan B at that level just yet. He has to so reliant on the serve to be serving dominant And once that serve goes, or once that serve is broken by the brilliant returning from those top players, I don't think he has anything other than that. Whereas Ben Shelton, I think he has a lot more to his tennis game. And that's what excites me about him. And the fans love him. And if he gets a crowd behind him in New York and he starts pumping those fists, going, you could see him going deep in the tour. I was really impressed. I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he's going to win the US Open this year, but I definitely think in the next couple of years he's going to force his way into the conversation in the top 3, top 4 in the world.
Well, Nigel, what do you think about the Toronto future odds? We'll get to the matches in specific, but the outright odds here, as we're looking at it here, you got to get it on the Action Bet Rivers, download the app, make your bets there. But going into tonight and going into the semis on the men's side, you have Zverev, who handled business against the defending champion Alexei Popper in the last round. He's a slight favorite over Fritz. Shelton at plus 350. Then Karen Khachanov, who beat Alex Michelsen in a tricky matchup in straight sets, is the rounding out at plus 900. So what do we think about that board going in? Do you like anything, or maybe individual matchups instead?
I think when he gets to the semifinals of these tournaments or any tournament, I think it's very hard to find much value in the market, purely and simply because it is a straight parlay to win this match and then to win the final. And you can see the route that the players have got, so you can't really find much value in that market. Zverev, his record when he's been the number 1 seed has been questionable this time around. When he's had opportunities with the Sinner, suspension that he hasn't capitalized on. He's had times where Alcaraz has been injured, hasn't capitalized on, and there is some sort of mental block when he's number 1 seed. So he's a short price favorite here, but it doesn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Khachanov could overturn those odds. Zverev has won the last 3 matches between the two of them, so I'm not like really rushing to it. I mean, I've got a different opinion in terms of the way some of these games are going to go compared to my colleague, Sean Calvert, on Benny Weekly Game Match today. We've got a difference of opinion. And usually when we have a difference of opinion, I'm usually wrong. So don't listen to me. But I actually got a sneaky feeling for both of the dogs tonight.
Could be a Khachanov. Could be a Khachanov and Shelton matchup in the final.
I've got a sneaky feeling. I don't think those odds... I just think they're a little bit too short to get involved. And so for that reason, if I was looking for a bet, I'd be concentrating on the 2 outsiders. But I think they're much better bets to win the semi-final rather than win the tournament.
Well, on the women's side, we've got an interesting Final Four. There you see the board right now. Rybakina, the favorite, followed by Osaka, Towson, and then the Canadian teenager Victoria Mboku. But Nigel, it's been an interesting one. These are the Final Four. Rybakina looks like she's kind of rounding into form. Osaka hasn't looked this good in a very long time. You also have Towson, who, again, put on a clinic against Madison Keys. I know there's some Bet Rivers experts that like her and were keen on her future odds. And Mboku's been the story of this event, too. So it's 4 different storylines, but thoughts on what we've seen to get to this point?
Well, you can make a case for all of them to win the tournament. I mean, all 4 of these, you can make a case for them. I just got a feeling Mbuko might actually realise at one stage she's in the final of a home tournament, and it might get to her at such a young age. She's up against a major champion in Rybakina. Osaka has played exceptionally well, but again, she hasn't really been tested. I mean, with Osaka, you want her to go into long matches. I suppose the only person who give her a bit of a test was Samsonova in the second round. But Samsonova, we know, is the most flakiest of opponents. I just feel I think the women's draw is much more interested in the men's matches tonight. Actually, I think the women's is really interesting. I think that. Also, though, these 4 players who have come through this long 2 weeks, they're all going to be massive fades next week in Cincinnati. All of them. And they're not going to put it in it at all in Cincinnati with the US Open next week. And, big fades. I think the takeout for this tournament is those 4 will be, we saw, didn't we? What was it? The 4 semi-finalists in Indian Wells all got beat in the first round of Miami. And it's got that kind of feel about it. So the takeout for me is that whoever comes through to all 4 of them, I think they're all going to be worth taking on in Cincinnati.
I think I agree. You look at it from just DC to Canada, where Fernandez got bounced early. Rybakina's kept going. I wonder if Rybakina even plays, depending on what happens, how it's going or how it looks for her. But she's been holding up pretty good. Mboku, I feel like, is the youngest. You have the freshest legs, but the emotional letdown is going to be tough after this, like playing in Canada and going on. And you have to add in, right? Like there's play like Sabalenka's coming back. You have players that have been lying in wait, ready for Cincinnati. So I agree with you there. Something about how Towson played against Keys last night. And we had the comment plus money again. It definitely seems like this year has been that breakthrough, and it's weird, Nigel. I don't feel like enough people are realizing where she's kind of elevating herself, because it's been not just this tournament, but going back to the Middle East, she's kind of been opening eyes.
Yeah, and she's always running to Sabalenka or one of the best players in the world who was in a hot run of form. That's stopped her in a progression. I think the other thing you're going to remember here is Mbuko and Osaka are both. I believe that both of them are unseeded. And look at the Cincinnati draw; they're both unseeded for Cincinnati. So they've got to fly. If they're both in the final, whoever wins it will get an exemption. But whoever's got to the run up will have to fly over and play like literally the next day. And this is where the scheduling is completely and utterly wrong. It's ludicrous. It's absolutely crazy. So I would be definitely fading them. But the job at hand tonight, we'll have a look at the matches tonight. But I think the takeout for me of those four women, none of them will go deep in Cincinnati next week.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, as we also, we'll keep forgetting too. Like Cincinnati draw just came out. Qualifying is going on right now. I think we still have rain over there. I think they're starting to kind of play again, but it's still rain. But I don't know, nothing really in the live window right now. I was peeking my head in Cincinnati before we get to the Canada semis, but Vukic Casson is 6-5 in the third set. That's a pretty tight one. You have some familiar names like Jan Leonard Struff in there. Emilio Nava is up a set, just a game away. So anything right now in the qualifying at Cincinnati that's standing out to you?
Well, I mean, I think the court conditions in Cincinnati are always very quick. So that's the one thing. It's one of the quickest tournaments of the year. So you've got to look at players who are big serving. You've got to look at players who will handle conditions. And I think that is the takeout from what we have tonight. The interesting match for me was the match between Basilashvili, his match against Colton Smith. I think that was quite an interesting game. I quite like Basilashvili, actually. I mean, he came through a big match yesterday against Christopher Eubanks.
Yeah.
And I had one bet on the game. I bet over 10.5 in set number one, and every time I bet over 10.5 in set number one, it comes in at 10. So I didn't make the money. But Basilashvili has been showing pretty much signs of that. He quite fancies it at the moment. I mean, he went deep in Umag, got to the last 16. He beat Kabash Bainer in round one that we tipped here. I don't think he's in this time of year on the quick surface. I think he may have a chance against Smith. Smith had a good win against Skullgate, the Aussie, a good win, straight sets win there, 6-4, 6-4 when he was the underdog. But I quite like Basilashvili a little bit later on tonight in the qualification. Obviously, the weather may have an impact in the way the court speed is going to be. But usually Cincinnati, as you will know, Mitch, it's one of the quickest around. So look for players who are going to be looking for, who want it quick. And I think the win over yesterday over Eubanks is a good pointer. In what conditions you would expect Christopher Eubanks to actually excel in, and for Basilashvili to win that, we worry about Basilashvili. I mean, we've known he's had his problems in terms of in his betting allegations and various things about the player over the years.
Right.
So this actually, whenever I see the market not oppose Basilashvili, so when the market drifts against him, his price, and everyone wants to bet his opponent, I usually get put off. I wouldn't touch him at all. But the fact that people are the line with Bet Rivers is moving in his favor suggests that he might be 100% up for this match tonight. If he is, that makes it a little bit of a good price.
Yeah, new renovations in Cincinnati, all this great stuff. The court's amazing and the stadium looks great, but you can't change the heat, the humidity, what they're going to feel out there. So depending on conditions, that's great. We also got a comment from one of our commenters, already picked up a nice value win for Coleman Wong, which was a good one there. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Wong was one, he had a good run at Miami, beat Tiafoe. Hasn't gotten his ranking up, having to go through qualifying, but maybe this is an opportunity. I'll be actually paying attention, depending on how the weather holds up, Nigel, the Eva Jovic match against Gracheva. I think Jovic at -150, she's a player with a lot of potential. Is that a value play, maybe not, but I'm just curious to see how she does and if she can get into the main draw and maybe win a couple matches.
I just read a lot of times about her, and I've had my fingers burnt on her sometimes, and I've bet her sometimes, and she's done the business for me. I think someone like her will take a huge amount of satisfaction and belief out of what Mbuku's doing in Canada, and I think she might spur. It's interesting about the Wong match. Like, Wong was a big drifter with Bet Rivers. He drifted out. All the money come for his opponent in that match, and Wong went out to a different price. So the bettors definitely got that one Wong.
They did. There it is. You stay for the betting advice. You might get some cool puns like that too. Here on Betting Weekly Tennis Live, it's Mitch, Michals, Nigel, Seeley. We're going to get into the Canada matches now. Great semifinals. But before we do that, we also got to tell people, right, Nigel, about the newsletter, bettingweeklystudios.com. You get to the newsletter, you get the Monday drop. The inside arrives on Fridays, and there's people that like tennis and other sports as well. This is what you need to get up on everything, get all the insight from your favorite handicappers, and really stay ahead of the game betting wise.
Yeah, I think we had a good week on the newsletter. I gave Ben Shelton to beat Alex de Minaur on the newsletter, plus 135. So nice plus 135 winner on there. It was exclusive, because obviously we don't do these shows every single day at the back end of the week. So there was extra content on there. I think the football guys have done well. The soccer guys have done well as well. So it's been a good week. You've got so much coming up. You've got the start of the NFL season coming up soon. You've got the college football returning, the English soccer leagues all around the world. And obviously we've got, in the end of this month, we've got the biggest tennis tournament for Bet Rivers and stateside with the US Open and the build up to Cincinnati 1000. So August and September is going to be full of action, and the Betting Weekly Studios is your other way of getting the fix. We also do huge amount of previews, in-depth analysis, and they're all different data, different stuff. You can keep it in your drawer at work and pull it out and have a little read and see what you want to have a bet on. But a really essential thing, so make sure you subscribe. If you like what we're doing here, subscribe to that loser. It's free, bettingweeklystudios.com.
It's going to be great to see, especially, this is a sweet spot. We got US Open coming up, the American football coming back. You've got soccer. You've got so much happening. So make sure you get to the newsletter. And it starts with tonight, right? We got the Canadian Open semifinals. It's going to be going on simultaneously, which is, the gift of kind of having two different cities. You have these matches taking place, and starting now with the men. The top seed, Alex Zverev, taking on Karen Khachanov. Zverev has had the win streak in this rivalry recently. He's a minus 235 favorite. Khachanov plus 185. You see that spread at minus 2.5. Over at 23.5 is a little bit higher, so maybe a tighter match is kind of expected. But you see some props. You've got a ton of options on Bet Rivers on the app. But Nigel, you kind of preview this, right? You think Khachanov might have a chance in this one?
I do. I mean, it's only because Zverev is such a flaky.
It's a flaky top seed.
A number one seed. Yeah, and I think he sort of he feels the pressure on him, and he sometimes tries to do a little bit too much. I mean, both of them have served brilliant this week. Absolutely fantastic. You would expect the match to go long. 23.5 is the over, which I would think that would be away. Sean has a lean as well on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match for set one overs, over 10.5. He likes that as well. And I think that is the way this kind of match will go. But they've played a lot of tennis before, 7 matches before, but really the most recent is in 2024. They played in Cincinnati and Miami, and both of those matches were on quick conditions. And Zverev won very, very easy, 6-3, 6-2, and 6-1, 6-4. Obviously, prior to that was 2021, and the first time they met was in Russia, in St. Petersburg in 2016. So when you look at data on head-to-heads, I think people get a lot carried away with stuff that happened many, many years ago. It's only relevant for the last couple of years. And in the recent data, it's been Zverev who's holding it. But I just got a feeling Khachanov is just going about his business really well. I was very impressed with him against Mickelson. Zverev was slightly lucky against Surundalu. He didn't play that particularly well against Popyrin. I thought Popyrin had chances in that match. A decent win over Casper Ruud, although the conditions wouldn't have suited Casper Ruud. It's very, very quick here. Yeah. But I think Khachanov has got a chance. I think he'll keep it competitive. I do like this match to go long. I would bet Khachanov with the start, or perhaps with a set start, be a low minus money price. But if you're going to take him and you think he's going to go well, which I do think he's going to go well, I think he's going to make him better, you might as well take him on the money line at a very, very generous looking price. And that's where I think plus 185 Khachanov is a big price. I think this will be a great trading match. I don't believe one particular player is going to have it all its own way. I think it's going to be dominated by the serve. I can see loads and loads of winners and lots of unforced errors from both players. And it looks like a messy match where big points opportunities. And I don't believe anybody should be the price of minus 235 and plus 185. Kachanov has had a very, very good year, very underrated. He's just outside the top 10. He's up to not far his career high. Good week this week. Good run at Wimbledon as well, got to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So, I think Kachanov has got a much better chance than plus 185.
Yeah, and I thought that 23.5 over-under has been really reflective of that. It hasn't been easy for Zverev getting to this point, even if the draw hasn't been the hardest. There's different ways to bet Khachanov, whether it's a set at about minus 157. We had a commenter say that game spread, in the first set is plus 1.5. I think that's about minus 132. Or just the straight money line, because Khachanov has been playing very, very well. And we'll see Zverev in this spot with a lot of pressure on him. Hasn't exactly performed up to snuff. So we'll see. I mean, I'm curious too. Zverev feels like he needs a result, but the other side, the other semi is the one I wanted to talk about, because we got the All-American affair, Ben Shelton and Taylor Fritz. There's the number right now. Fritz minus 177, Shelton plus 140. Their only matchup was at Indian Wells years ago, and it was before Ben Shelton became Ben Shelton, and it was a tight matchup that Fritz won in 3. Since then, a lot has changed, but what hasn't changed is Fritz is the number 1 American. Shelton, though, nipping at his heels. A lot of stakes on this one, because the winner is in the final. It'd be Shelton's first opportunity at a Masters title. Fritz is second. But Shelton is a trendy underdog, Nigel, plus 140. A lot of people, and I think yourself, see value on the underdog American.
Well, I think it would be very wrong of me as an Englishman to lead with the opinion in this game. I think you're the big tennis guy, and you're the big American tennis fan. One thing I did notice, I mean, I couldn't believe how long it's been since an All-American semi-final. Did you see the stat when it was? It was like, did you see that?
Yeah. It's been a while. I saw the stat, and I don't have it off the top of my head.
It was Roddick against Fritz in Cincinnati. Yeah. I think it was in 2010. And there's only ever been 4. This will be the 4th time that 2 American players have played in a 1,000 semi-finals, which I found incredible. When you think of the dominance of Roddick, Agassi, Sampras, but this is only the 4th time it's ever happened.
2010 Cincy, Roddick, Fish. Wow.
Yeah, incredible when you think about it. But I'm going to let you lead this one. You're the American guy. You watch the American tennis more than me. How do you think this is going to go?
Well, I found myself getting caught up in the Shelton hype before and burned like yourself, because I don't want to take anything away from Taylor Fritz, right? He's a tried and true professional. I think what a lot of things that happens, Nigel, is we get caught up in the ceiling versus results talk. And yes, you watch Ben Shelton play, you see a performance like last night, you think, yeah, why isn't this guy not challenging for slams, doing all this stuff? But his baseline game, his average level isn't quite where Fritz is. I think he's going to rise up and win this match. I do like Shelton in this one. I think he's in a place right now where this was the opportunity. We talked about it going into the draw. Top players aren't here. A chance to really make your claim that you're one of the top players and you belong. And I think surviving the way he did against Caboli is really propelling him. Caboli was serving for that match. Shelton breaks back, wins in a tiebreak. We hear tennis players talk all the time about playing with house money. I think ever since then, he's kind of locked in and just played inspired tennis. It started with that tiebreak. So I like Shelton in this one. I actually think the over is a pretty smart play, because I think it's going to go 3. I like both players to win a set, but I'm going with Shelton here. I like the underdog, and I like Shelton to get to his first Masters final.
I think sometimes in players' careers, there's pivotal moments in their career where they look back and say, that was the match that defined me, or the match that I kicked on. And it feels like a defining moment in Ben Shelton's career here. To play the American number 1. He's the young kid on the block. We've known about him for some time. He's up to his career high ranking. I think he's 6 or 7 in the world coming on the live rankings. He can go even higher. He's 3 weeks away from his home, or 2 weeks away now from his home slam. This is his moment, and he's got to rise. The trouble with him is, I think most of his matches are running on adrenaline and pumped and hype, and I think his natural abilities he has to get going to get that natural ability out of it. Whereas Fritz is much calmer. His big serve and crucial points hits the big serve, stuns them. It surprises me today that lots of money with Bet Rivers has been for Taylor Fritz. There has been more money for Taylor Fritz today. His line is moving quite a lot, and Bet Rivers have actually pushed out Shelton to plus 140. So you've got the more calmer,
Right.
an American number one who's done it, seen it, got to finals and majors before against this young kid who's going to come through. But it feels as though this is his moment. And I just cannot believe this will be over in straight sets.
I can't either.
But 25.5 is such a high line. It's such a high line.
It really is. Shelton is 19-9 versus Americans in his young career at the tour level. So I do think he gets up playing his country mates. And I know he's had some losses early in the career, like the Taylor Fritz. But yeah, I think he's a big match player. And I think getting to this part is half the battle for him. And I think the pivotal moment, as you said, finding a way to get through the Kaboli match where he wasn't at his best, locking in, finding motivation. I don't know. I think I like Shelton here, especially because Fritz has been playing a lot of tennis.
Do we all just want him to win? We all just want him to do it, to have his breakthrough as our heart rule in our head? I don't know. But I think it's going to be a long game. 25.5 could be I know it's a high number, but it could be a winning number if you're going over. Certainly set one over 10.5. I would go to over 10.5, set one in both matches. And there could be the burnout factor in set two. But I think these are both going to be matches that are going to be very, very nervy because it's a big opportunity for both players, all four players to win 1,000. So, yeah, they're going to be up there.
Well, the women's side, we've got some bangers as well. How about Victoria Mboku taking on Elena Rybakina? Mboku is plus 163, the underdog. Can she keep it going? Rybakina, a solid favorite in the semis, which she also was last week against Leylah Fernandez, or I guess 2 weeks ago now, a week and a half ago. Fernandez won that matchup. Can Mboku keep the dream alive? The teenage Canadian who's been captivating everyone. You see different spreads and odds and what have you there, but that's the question, right? Is it going to be a straightforward Rybakina performance, or does this Canadian kid have more magic in her in Montreal?
Well, they met, didn't they? Only a couple of weeks back in Washington, and they played in the second round, I believe it was. Second round, and Rybakina was -$3 to win that match.
6-3-7-5.
Yeah, 6-3-7. She won it. Obviously, there was a little bit, but what's changed in 2 weeks? Well, I know there's home advantage, and this girl's on a heater, but really nothing's changed massively. So if you think that she was -$3 2 weeks ago, and now you can bet her at -225, it's a line movement, and you could definitely argue that since Wimbledon, Rybakina's, or just before Wimbledon, Rybakina's showing signs that she's going to be back to her best, and the service started to go as well.
Yeah.
I think Mboku needs the crowd. She's going to have the crowd behind her. She's going to have a huge amount of crowd behind her, and she's got to run with it. I mean, if Rybakina gets into an early lead, I would worry. And if she gets her serve going, I would worry. I genuinely think this one here will go to experience. I think Rybakina will win it. I think, it could be a close one, especially in set number one.
Right.
But I think the extra experience, and for someone at 18 years of age, I think she'll realise what the opportunity she has. And I think that Rybakina, I wouldn't bet her -3.5. I wouldn't take the -225. Probably
sets, maybe straight sets.
I'd probably bet 2 sets to love. Yeah, I think I don't want it because I want the story I want the story to continue. But a +110. I think that's a big price to win 2 sets to love.
Yeah, unfortunately
it was +160 on the graphic. It's now been bet to +110. So there is money coming for that.
Yeah, I don't want to be the poor sport as well, just rooting against fun. But I agree with you as well. I look, if she would have just served it out in the second set against Leylah Fernandez, I kind of think she just did. I think she would have rolled through Kalinskaya in the final because Kalinskaya was hurt, so she wins DC. And I think this number changes a lot. We talk about those betting moments, right? I think Rybakina was very close to being the DC champion, just kind of let it get away from her. I agree. I actually think she's been rounding into form secretly because we've had all these great storylines on the WTA with Towson and Osaka and Iga winning Wimbledon. But Rybakina's kind of working, and I think she's quietly, maybe, Nigel, playing herself back into a top 5 level.
I think she's quietly playing herself into a dangerous opponent at the US Open because I think that she may win this. I think she may win this 1,000 in Toronto. I think she'll go easy in Cincinnati where other players are going out on it. And I think the preparation she's got is ideal. And if we've got a quick, and I think the court speed, the court service at Flushing Meadow is the same as what it is over in Canada. And I think at like 14-1. She's with Bet Rivers. I think she could be someone you might want to look out for the US Open already.
Definitely. How she responds, though, if Mboku starts hitting winners, if the crowd gets behind her and maybe against Rybakina, that's the only worry you have in this match. But yeah, experience looks like it's going to favor the tall Kazakh in this one. And then the other matchup, Naomi Osaka taking on Clara Towson. There you see the numbers. Towson a money line dog again, and she's handled that role nicely. Beats Iga, beats Keys down, gets Osaka, who drummed Svitolina in the last matchup. Svevastova and Svitolina, thanks for coming. So there you see the odds. There you see the spread. Naomi is the trendy pick in this one as the favorite. But the Clara Towson show, Nigel, do you see it rolling on in another money line underdog spot?
I'm shocked that she's plus 138. Actually, I'm really shocked. I mean, she's a player again, playing the best tennis of her career, going up to her career high. Osaka's on the comeback trail. I know she's played well, but Svitolina, I think she's older than me and you now, isn't she, Mitch? So, I mean, let's be fair. I mean, to dismantle Madison, which would you say was a better result? Osaka winning 6-2, 6-2 as a 2.1 or plus 119 underdog against Svitolina, or Towson demolishing the Australian Open champion in a quick call 6-1, 6-4. Well, I would argue that Towson's performance was slightly better. Yeah, I think that the route that Towson has come here, and you know who she's beaten, you got to stand up and take notice of this girl. And I'm surprised that she's plus 138. I am. This one does have everything about being long again. I mean, I'm looking at over 22 and a half games here at plus 102. Over 21 and a half games is minus 132 if you want to go low as well. But I think this is a match that I think both of them there'll be ins and outs on this. There will be times here where one of them's in a chance, they'll be breaking back, there'll be breaks galore. It's the nature of the way these two play. I think this will be a long match, and I would be betting Towson. But I think plus 138 is wrong. I think it's wrong. I think I genuinely thought this would be a 50-50 call.
Flip. Yeah, Towson Keys was strength for strength. You can say Osaka just outhits Svitolina, and her style just her game overpowered Svitolina. So I agree with you there. And coming off of what we've seen, I mean, Towson notching wins this year over Keys, over Iga, over Sabalenka, like has been building it. Yeah, I think you can get over 2.5 sets on Bet Rivers for plus 140 if you like that one.
That's a great bet. That's a nice play. That's a nice play. That.
Yeah, I mean, Osaka winning would not surprise me, but I think we're in agreement, right? The number, it just seems like it's priced a little weird. Like it should be a little close, like very close, not Osaka as its overwhelming favorite. But she has
they did play in the final, didn't they? Where was the final they played? They played in the final in Auckland at the start of the year. And in that final, Towson was a plus 170.
Yeah, and she lost the first set, and then Osaka retired. Yeah, that was a weird one.
If you think about it, since then, who is the one who's done the better in the year? Towson's had a much better year than Osaka. Osaka's coming. So the line has moved from a plus 170 chance then to a plus 138 chance now. Yeah. But I don't think it's moved enough. I think Towson is on the verge of breaking into the top 10 and being a major contender at majors for the first time in her career.
The new coach bump for Osaka, right? Has the new coach, Iga's old coach. Maybe it's just a little different thing, and we'll see. It's good to have this matchup, though. We've got some great ones in the semis there. So regardless, the winner of Montreal will be well earned, and we'll have a bona fide great player near at the top. Could be a young star, could be an older, more experienced player. Last thing, Nigel, we've got some early look ahead at Cincinnati on the men's side. Don't know what the women's odds are just yet, but no big surprise, right? It's Sinner, Alcaraz, and then everybody else. There is no Jack Draper, and there's no Novak Djokovic in this field. But aside from that, we got pretty much everybody, all the other contenders there. Once again, it looks like Sinner even money, Alcaraz plus 175. It looks like it's those two versus the field.
Well, it's more than that. I mean, if you look at the odds on those two to win the tournament, it comes as a combined chance of 87% that one of them wins the tournament. So you've got 87% those two, and you can take 13% everybody else in the draw, which just shows you the dominance of these two in the men's game at this moment in time. Their numbers are exceptional. They've had a week off when everyone else has got this crazy schedule. We'll be covering it in more detail tomorrow with myself and Sean, a Benny Weekly Game Bet match. But I mean, I would much rather oppose Alcaraz than Sinner. I think Sinner's draw has been a lot more favorable compared to Alcaraz. And there are a couple of people in that bottom half who I think, in what I expect to be a very, very quick Cincinnati court, You got to remember as well that Cincinnati is going to get hotter as the week goes on. So you would expect the court conditions to get faster and faster. There's a couple of people there that I think could cause him a few problems at big prices. But if you want to know who they are, you got to tune in tomorrow. Betting Weekly Game Bet Match.
We're not giving it away for free. Yeah, there's another look at the draw and at the board, and yeah, there's some players. Maybe they're on that board, maybe they're not. But that's why you have to tune in and see.
One of them I like isn't on that board.
Oh,
one of them isn't on that. One of them is, and one of them isn't.
There you go. There's a big opportunity.
Even the dog liked it.
The dog, yeah.
Even the dog liked it.
The neighboring dog loves it. He sees the board there. Well, Nigel, this has been great. We always appreciate everyone tuning in, commenting on the chat. Any final thoughts on Canada, Cincy, or just general North American hardcore thoughts?
Well, there's a couple of little things I wanted to mention. Someone mentioned in the chat there about the women's. There was one other. There's a couple of games that I liked. I like Basha-Veredi tomorrow to beat Monfils. I think Monfils, the amount of tennis he's played this year, coming towards the end of the year, Basha-Veredi in quick conditions. I think that there's been a bit of money for that today. I quite like it. And I quite like Danilovic
there you go.
Beat Katie Bolter. I think Katie Bolter is a player that's on the decline at the moment. I think she had a ceiling. She's dropped down. Her game's gone completely. She's more known now being Alex de Minaur's girlfriend rather than Katie Bolter, the number one British tennis player and a seeded player. And I think she's in a real dip at the moment. And I think Danilovic will beat Katie Bolter tomorrow. So I'm going to go for Danilovic, and I quite like Basha-Veredi tomorrow. I'll make their daily double. Everyone wants a daily double, so I'll give you that one. Basha-Veredi. What price have we got Basha-Veredi? Have we got it here?
Let's take a look.
Let me find out what we've got here. But yeah, we're going to go with that tomorrow. I think that will be the interesting. Basha-Veredi is playing Monfils. I've got plus 116 Basha-Veredi, and I have on the women's. I'm going to go for where is she? Bolter plus 116, and Bolter Danilovic to beat Bolter is minus 110. So that'll be my daily double tomorrow.
Yeah, and the other comment too, I think Eva Elise over Pera is pretty solid given recent form. Haven't seen much of Bernarda Pera recently. Elise has been playing pretty solid. But yeah, we got a nice daily double on the way out. So that's why you got to tune into the full show, because you're going to get your daily double. You're going to get your thoughts. And yeah, Cincinnati, I guess we got to get used to these long tournaments, right? We got a final and a main draw of two different Masters on Thursday. So,
and I tell you what, we haven't even mentioned the women's draw tomorrow. We're doing Betting Weekly WTA tomorrow. Have you seen the women's draw yet, Mitch?
I have. I looked at it briefly, but
like the top half, the women's draw in Cincinnati, it's absolutely stacked. So the top half has Sabalenka, it has Raducanu, it has Samsonova, Rybakina, Madison Keys, Iga Swiatek, it has Mbuku. It has Anisimova. It's absolutely stacked. The bottom half is so weak compared to the top half. There must be some huge value each way in the bottom half of the draw, and we will be revealing what it is tomorrow on Betting Weekly WTA as well.
You're going to want to watch and listen to that Betting Weekly WTA tomorrow. Betting Weekly Tennis Live returns same time, same place. It's 1 o'clock Eastern time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all part of the Bet Rivers Network. And again, follow our socials at Because We Win on all your favorite platforms. Nigel, Seeley, this has been fun. Can't wait to do it again.
No problem, mate. You can answer the door now. Tell that dog to stop barking.
I don't know. Yeah, we got animals outside. We'll see. But for Nigel, Seeley, I'm Mitch Michals. This was Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon. Enjoy the tennis.